My far left is Mallory Nestor Brush. She is the manager of AC Transit's Accessible Services and has been doing this since approximately the year 2000. Next is Andy Gain. As you see, I haven't met all these people. Who represents a community organization, membership-based organization, the Ashby Village in Berkeley, a very interesting project that is actually has chapters or membership groups across the country. It's a project that helps people to age in their own homes by making sure they have access to needed services, including transit services. Okay, next we have Crystal Pasco, just on my immediate left, Pasco. The outreach coordinator for the Alameda County Transportation Commission, which I think that was a bit described by the last panel. It's the agency that includes the county's congestion management agency, and which has the responsibility to deliver major B projects, which are passed by the voters. And we have here Drew King, who is the Community Services and Administration Manager in the Housing and Community Services Department of the esteemed city of Berkeley. I mean, in that position, he has overseen the city's paratransit program for the past 3 years. Yes, I have to say, when I was a city council member there, I did come to really appreciate the skill and devotion of the staff. Really good people. And finally, we have Sam Cassis, paratransit coordinator for the city of Richmond. This is good. We haven't had a representative from Contra Costa here, a direct one. This program provides, as paratransit tends to do, low-cost transportation services to seniors and persons with disability who reside in Richmond and in nearby unincorporated areas of the county. We have a number of questions from the audience to ask that came in with the last batch, but I really want to say we have 2 points of focus for this panel. What services you provide and what steps you're taking or hope to take to prepare for the explosion in the Bay Area senior population. Okay, why don't we start with Mallory? And perhaps you can tell us what AC Transit is doing in terms of serving seniors. And you have
4 minutes.
to tell us
a lifetime of work in 4 minutes to describe it.
Right.
No, I appreciate the lead's invitation to address this group, because we at AC Transit recognize that it's a very significant and impactful movement that's occurring our way. And so we've taken steps in the last couple years to try and get ahead of this wave. And we oversee both not only the fixed route services, but the paratransit services. Both AC Transit and BART operate our East Bay paratransit services. Our goal is to preserve paratransit for folks who truly need it, and to move folks or encourage folks to use our fixed route services. In order to do that, there are several things that are important, I think, to seniors. Safety and security on the buses, safety and security of stops, information that's readily available to you to help you understand the system. AC Transit, as you know, has gone through a tough financial challenge over the last 2 years. We're in a safer place than we were 2 years ago. We're safe, but we've had several reductions in service. We've implemented a long-term fare policy, so you will know as of August 11th, your fare went up from $1 to $1.05. As of 2013, it will go to $1.10. So there's a long-term policy so that you can plan in anticipation of any increases. On the most important side really is our operator training. We have not trained new operators given our service reductions in the last 2 years. So we're taking the opportunity as we start to retrain drivers, new bus operators, to focus more on customer service, customer skill. Several outreach things that we are doing. We of course participate, as Bonnie mentioned, in the United Seniors of Oakland, Alameda County, their travel training program. The City of Fremont, we of course contribute to that effort, and we appreciate ACTC's support of that travel training program. We have an accessible advisory committee that you all are welcome to attend. They are appointed directly by our board of directors to advise us on matters relating to accessibility. I encourage you to attend. We meet second Tuesday, 1 o'clock at the general offices. I think that our focus is really, if you look at our promotional material, is to teach people how to use fixed route, to encourage them to continue to do so as long as they can. We have started an in-person assessment process on our paratransit side. So many of you, if you apply for paratransit, even though you're able to use fixed route, you may still apply. You have to come in for an interview, and you may be given conditional eligibility, so that if it's too hot or too cold, inclement weather, you can't walk long distances. Oh my gosh, flag, 1 minute. We will call you and you will be given conditional eligibility, because we want to encourage everyone to utilize a fixed route to the extent that they can. And then we understand that paratransit may need to be an option for you at some time. But I think the likelihood of restoring fixed route services, again, depends on our ability to get additional funding. To secure those services, we held off on the most draconian of our service reductions because we did receive additional funding. It's going to be a rough couple of years, but I think that the league has a real opportunity to help us with education of seniors, how we can best use the service, how we can use the travel training services available, how we can use information services available to us via AC Transit. And so I do appreciate your time, and thank you for listening.
You probably will be able to add a little information when you get the right question. Okay.
Hi, my name's Andy Gaines. I'm here from Ashby Village, and was very pleased and to have the opportunity to speak with you regarding our transportation services that we offer. It was a little unusual because we are serving largely our members. We're a membership organization, and based in brief, Ashby Village is kind of part of a national movement of people who are recognizing that the assets that we have within our communities to support one another, to continue to live independently and to live in our homes or live in our apartments is quite exorbitant, and so it's a resource that we really want to cultivate and assist people to continue doing so. So transportation, our transportation component is of all the services that we offer, the most highly demanded one. Clearly for people who are aging, losing sight, losing the ability to drive at night, etc., it becomes more challenging. And so we have a large volunteer corps that is available to assist our members with whatever needs they have to continue living independently, transportation. So I'll speak a little bit about how we establish that, train that, and also vet to make sure that people are safe. So we have a whole volunteer recruitment plan where we pursue people who are interested in assisting our members, and then we interview them, we check their background, we check their driving records, we ask them, we check references, and we get copies of their insurance and their registration forms so that we can, and their licenses, so that we can have that on our records. So in a simple way the insurance and the liability of the driver is covering the passenger. And then when our members call in, we will give out a call to any of our volunteers who are have been cleared for driving, and we've had a really, pretty much 90% success rate of we'll get a call, for a day, a week from now, and we'll schedule someone to come. Typically, it's around transportation to the doctor, to the grocery store, to things that are essential to their living independently. And let's see, so we have, during the time that we've been doing this, we've also been looking at other options to support our members and also to support the larger community, because we're seeing that as a village, we want to have a broader reach. We want to be able to assist and support the people in the greater Berkeley area with their transportation needs as they age. So there have been several meetings that we participated in the audience. Shirley Haberfeld, who is one of the founders and the on our board, has spoken with several organizations, nonprofit organizations or city organizations that have vans, to look at how we could combine our resources so that we can more effectively serve people who are aging. And we're hoping to continue that process. We're hoping to, I was really pleased to have an opportunity to be here today to hear what other people are doing so that we can continue to look to work together to meet those needs. So on the table outside is information about Ashby Village. There's a sign-up sheet if you'd like to get on our mailing list. And keep in touch, check out our website, www.ashbyvillage.org, and we're excited about this, and we're really creating a village, a community of people who are both aging and who are wanting to be in relation to supporting people who are aging, so we can all do so with a lot of grace and care. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Okay, Crystal.
Hello, everyone. So my role in the commission is the outreach coordinator, and what I do basically is I'm in the community a lot, and I make similar presentations to different organizations and senior groups. But with community events, I'm all over the county. Just recently, we were at Solano Avenue Stroll, which is not too far from here. We were also at Fremont Festival of the Arts. And just last week, we were actually at the San Leandro Senior Health and Resource Fair. So my position is really based in outreach. And some of the programs that we, talk about in our outreach events or in our presentations, one is the wheelchair scooter breakdown transportation service. And this service is really convenient. It's for individuals in mobility devices that find themselves stuck. Sometimes, they have flat tires, or they're experiencing mechanical issues, out in the community. And so what they can do is they can call this 800 number and have a one-way ride either home or to a repair shop free of charge. And most of the time it's, by an accessible vehicle. And so this is really convenient for people, who might get stuck at night, in the rain, where there's no, safe shelter, things like that. So this program is really convenient, and that's something that a lot of our residents in mobility devices really appreciate in the community. Another program that we administer through the Alameda CTC is the Hospital Discharge Transportation Service. So similar to our wheelchair breakdown service, this is also a service in which individuals who are in a mobility device for the first time and are not experienced with taking public transportation, such as BART or AC Transit, are being discharged from a hospital. And what consumers can do is they can call a similar number, an 800 number, and an accessible vehicle will come and pick them up from the hospital that they're being discharged from. And they can get home or to a nursing facility free of charge. And essentially what happens is the Alameda CTC has a dispatch that we use, and that person is able to get home after being discharged from our participating hospitals, some of which are Kaiser Oakland, Highland Hospital, Kaiser Fremont, and other facilities all over the county. Another thing that we provide in our outreaches is a lot of publications. we have several fact sheets that are focused on aging. They talk about promoting active transportation. They talk about barriers to public transit for older adults. We also have an aging fact sheet that is specific to the baby boomer generation that I know we're supposed to be talking about today, and the increase in need for paratransit in the next decade or so. And so all these materials that I'm talking about, by the way, I have here and I'll place out in the front so that folks can grab them. Our other publication that we have is our Access Alameda Guide, which is actually available in 6 different languages: Farsi, Vietnamese, Tagalog, Chinese, Spanish, English, as well as Braille for those who are visually impaired. And this Access Alameda Guide is actually really helpful. It has information about all of the city-based programs in Alameda County, including the city of Berkeley, which I know we'll hear a little bit more about. And it also includes the application to these city-based programs inside the booklet, which is very convenient, and folks can just go ahead and fill them out and turn them in. Another thing that we have is a provider toolkit, which is more based for providers of paratransit services, and it has all the resources that are available in the county, so it's easily accessible in one small toolkit. And lastly, we have a paratransit hotline, a paratransit information line that anyone in the county can call, and they can ask questions about how to apply. Which applications do I have to fill out? Where do I send them to? All this information can be really, really daunting. And so this hotline is really valuable in that anyone can really ask questions. And that line actually goes directly to me, so I know all the sorts of questions that I get. And lastly, we have an Access Alameda website that has this information in our Access Alameda Guide all online. You can download the application for paratransit, for East Bay Paratransit, whatever you need, you can find it online. So, yeah.
Thank you. That's wonderful. What a fount of information, and thank you for all of that. Okay, this is Drew King.
Hi, everyone. So we have a variety of programming. The Housing and Community Services Department was recently reorganized about 2 years ago, I think largely driven by economic factors and stuff, and we brought our senior centers into what had previously been the Housing Department. We became Housing and Community Services. And I think that says something as well about how we're sort of using these moments of opportunity that are sometimes being forced on us, but we're also trying to look at strategies that look towards the future, and how we're going to adapt and adjust to that, and how we can do a better job of largely integrating programming and flexing our program to meet the needs as they arise. So we have Berkeley Paratransit Services that has been operating out of our department for some time. And that's a program that has 2 sort of core programs. It has a taxi script program where the participants are issued a taxi script that acts like cash with the taxi drivers, and anybody who's licensed to operate a cab to pick up fares in Berkeley is required by the ordinance in their license to honor that script, and then that script gets redeemed, and we pay the cab driver once the script is redeemed. We also have a wheelchair accessible van program, and that's for people who need a wheelchair accessible type of vehicle, and that's a voucher program that we have. Our paratransit program generally has about 770 to 800 people participating in it, about 700 at any given time in the taxi program, and about 70 to 80 in the van ride program. That program is funded by Measure B, which is the county increment, and also by City General Fund. For the last year, that funding, Measure B funding, was around 150 to 155,000, and the city's general fund contribution to the program that we counted was about $120,000. So the city puts a lot of money into the paratransit program to match the Measure B money to help tailor our paratransit services to the needs of our community. In addition, in the paratransit program, we have a medical return trip program, which essentially reimburses the participant in either the voucher program or the script program for voucher or script that they use to return from a medical appointment. We expect them to use their other resources and may be eligible for East Bay Paratransit or whatever to go on the front end of the appointment when they know their fixed time and everything, but it can be challenging to schedule a day in advance when you don't know what time your appointment's going to end. And so our program is more flexible and more ready for sort of on-demand response. As well, we have a small sort of augmentation to the program that's also available to people within the program who are qualified for East Bay Paratransit, where we issue East Bay Paratransit tickets to our participants. And it's really to just encourage them to get to know that part of the resource that's available to them, that we're not in competition, that we're a part of the puzzle to kind of make it all work. In addition to that, in the city of Berkeley, the voters in the 90s passed a tax measure, a property tax measure to fund emergency services for people with severe physical disabilities. And that program has been serving what we most think of in our community as the sort of severely physically disabled community for some time. But it's within the purview of that program to also serve seniors who have significant disability. And we've been working with that provider and with our funding process to get that program to look harder at our senior needs in the senior community. And I just want to mention real quickly that we also have at our senior centers a senior shuttle service that picks up and transports people both to the centers as well as on shopping outings and other regular social and recreational outings.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, it's your turn finally. You've waited very patiently.
Good afternoon. My name is Sam Casas with Richmond Paratransit. We're part of the City of Richmond. We're a program within the City of Richmond. We've been around since 1976. I'm very proud to say that because the folks back in those days, the Commission on Aging at that point, realized that it was a social justice issue. It was the silver civil rights that sometimes doesn't get taught to our young people in college. I didn't even remember us even studying that, but it's a very important, just like for disability rights advocates. It came out of here out of Berkeley. But with the silver movement, it was basically aging in place. How can folks age in place without being thrown into convalescent homes? Well, we have them age in place in their own homes, but we need to keep them mobile. But how can we do that? Some folks had children that were working, some had children in other states. So how could we keep them mobile? Well, because of that movement, City of Richmond did the right thing by creating a Richmond Paratransit program. And it's been around since, like I said, 1976. So let's see, what are we going on? Almost 40 years now. Wow. So yes. So
I was astounded.
So we're very proud of our what I like to call a legacy program. And what our program is similar to what you heard for the city of Berkeley. We provide one-way trips for folks Monday through Friday between 8:30 and 5 o'clock. Each one-way trip is $3. One of the things that we've done is the eligibility process is you must reside in the city of Richmond or one of the other unincorporated areas close to us, which is Kensington, East Richmond Heights, El Sobrante, Rolling Woods. Let's see, did I miss any? North Richmond, and it's called Hasford Heights. So these unincorporated areas we take on as well, because we also receive Measure J money, which is sort of like your Measure B money here. That's what we receive as Measure J money. So you must live in one of those communities. And then the second qualification is that you must be 65 or older, or have a medically verified disability if you're under 65. So if you look geographically, and then also based on age or your condition. So that's how our program's been running. We do have wheelchair accessible vehicles, as well as sedans, minivans, and small buses. Some of the vehicles that we're going to be getting more of is through Section 5310 money. If you're not aware of that, write that down, look it up. Encourage your cities or nonprofits to apply for those monies. It is competitive, but there is money available out there for purchasing vehicles and also other equipment. The other thing is our service area is small, which helps keeps our costs down. Is because you're such a small geographical area. Our service area includes all the incorporated areas that I mentioned, plus the city of Richmond, as well as San Pablo and also El Cerrito. And then we go up to Appian Way because, which is interesting, a lot of medical facilities end up going out further out, which folks need to get there. So Kaiser, I'm not speaking about Kaiser, I use Kaiser, has a center in Pinole. And then we go up to the Contra Costa Alameda border. So that's our service area. So that's one of the programs we serve is that's our qualification service area. I spoke about the VAM program, but we also have a taxi script program where folks pay $15 for a book of 30, and they can use that. Basically, the idea behind that was to use it when we're not operating, but you can use it 24 hours, 7 days a week, Monday through Friday. This is very helpful for folks who need to go to church services on the weekends or go to, or sometimes have medical appointments that are past 5 o'clock. So again, those are some of the things that we provide. There are challenges. We do have our own challenges in West Contra Costa County. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to say this, the program says we will be finished at 3, but because everyone has a lot to say and because we really want to hear about it, we're going to continue to 3:15 for anybody who can stay. And, it's okay if the audience all leaves, well, we'll stop. Okay, I have a number of really good questions from the audience that I want to ask. This is this kind of fits in with some of these presentations. Is there coordination of special transportation services for seniors and those with mobility problems across county lines? Okay.
As you know, we are 9 Bay Area county, 27 transit operators, 19 paratransit operators within the Bay Area. And yes, the fixed route operators participate in the regional transit discount card eligibility process, so we do share information for fixed route. On the paratransit side, we do in fact coordinate between operators. Now it varies depending on the operator's operating hours. East Bay Paratransit, we run 24/7. Others only operate, based on their fixed route schedule. But there is coordination. It is not easy to schedule a trip for regional transportation. And it would be just like making a transfer to Amtrak, to an MCI bus, or to Caltrain. So it is not always seamless, but we do work cooperatively among all the city-based programs, all the other regional operators to coordinate and facilitate those trips throughout our 9 Bay Area county.
Anybody else want to speak to this? Okay. Here's one on design for transporting seniors. And it's about universal design. The question is, how do we convince transit agencies to apply it? That is, design for seniors and those with mobility problems, which will make access better for all, so that, for example, there aren't any buses that seniors find treacherous.
I don't know, Joyce.
How come you get on?
She's not the only one.
Actually, we, as I indicated, we have our accessibility advisory committee. I guess since I'm the only fixed route bus operator here, that's a question to me. And we do listen to, and I know that there are folks out there who say we did not listen to, but I know that every version after the fact, our AAC contributed. We added more stop requests. We had more seats on ground level. And as you know, we will no longer be purchasing Those buses that shall not be named, we will no longer be purchasing those, and we do through our AAC. And I think it's really important that you all participate in the AAC. Again, it's posted on the web. Every Tuesday, second Tuesday of the month, they meet at 1 o'clock, and we look at each of the bus specifications and the procurements to see what can be made more accessible. And they agree wholeheartedly, the more accessible, and at this point, I'm almost convinced we just got the bus, you got, 12 tires if it's an Arctic, and leave the rest empty. Because we have got strollers, walkers, wheelchairs, baggage carts. I mean, it's like we're not transporting passengers anymore, we're transporting their things is the primary focus. So I think it's really important that you do have your voices be heard. We are in the process of procuring new buses now for 40-footers, for 45-footers, and for over-the-road coaches. We're not going to get MCIs anymore. But it really is important we do listen, because every iteration, every other class that came out after the first one where we heard the voices, we made modifications to address those concerns to the extent that we could.
Thank you.
Hold on to it, or you got
Anybody else wish to talk about that kind of talk about that issue? Guess not. Okay, this is interesting. Seniors need transportation to social events, cultural events, visits to friends, not just for survival needs. If we really want seniors to remain connected to life, can we and are we meeting this need as well as we're meeting, needs to go to the doctor and the dentist? Yeah.
I think that probably this need is one of the things that's most attractive about having a taxi script program and a van ride voucher program in our paratransit portfolio. It's one of the most flexible ways, outside of maybe a volunteer driver program, also to meet those kinds of diverse needs and allow the people who are using the services to make their choices about how to prioritize how they use the resource and what's important to them and how to stay connected. Now, the last part of the question, I wish I could tell you, I don't believe we have the resources to meet the needs for everybody, in Berkeley right now, in terms of supporting all the need that's out there. And I think that as we have more people with more need, we have to think differently about how we do some of the things and how we can use things like volunteer driver programs and working with other agencies and groups within the communities to meet the need. But there's no doubt, I think that's in the forefront of our planning, is not about how to get people necessarily to the grocery store or their doctor's appointments. It's also just how to have them be able to be in our community and participate in it, and how best to do that, and how we can best support that as a community.
We offer as another program that I did not mention. I did also leave brochures on the table for Richmond Paratransit if you know of anybody who may need our services. But one of the other services we provide is group trips. So we have worked with some of the assisted living facilities who occasionally will need to take their members to the movies or to the park or somewhere. Basically, it's the cost of a one-way trip. So if they have 10 people, it's $30. They're able to take one attendant for that whole group. You also can rent our vehicles. Some people find it very high, but it is $100 an hour because that comes with the vehicle and it comes with the driver. So for a lot of folks, that's really high, but sometimes folks are asking for our services after hours. So we do everything in-house with the City of Richmond. And my staff, since we're doing it in-house, are all union employees. So I have to make sure I also work with the labor aspect of it. So that's why, maybe a lot, but we also encourage folks, hey, during the 8:30 to 5, if you have a group, we can do it together at $3 a passenger. So that's another thing that we do, and I agree that that's also very important when you're doing group trips. Also social events, going with somebody. But you know what I really appreciate about seniors? They are very, what's the word? What's that? Flexible, persistent, but very smart. They're able to figure out ways to do things. So in our program, I'll just say this, you're allowed to have an attendant ride with you at no cost. So now we can't tell you what sort of attendant you can have, but let's just say people have been able to go, you know, to IHOP and enjoy a meal together. But I don't ask those questions, as you know. Again, they're very resourceful. That's the word, resourceful. And you know, I don't look at it that way because this is how I feel. I just turned 40 this year. And I feel a senior who's 65 or older has paid their dues. They've paid their taxes, and if I can find ways to keep them mobile as my duty as a civic worker to help you take advantage of what you've invested into the infrastructure, like the city of Richmond, people think, you know, you'd be surprised. We have folks who have lived there for 30, 40, 50 years. I even transport Rosie the Riveters. We have riveters who built shipyards, who built the ships in the shipyards in Richmond. So they've done their patriotic duty, they've done their time, and if I can provide them a ride and they can have another person, an attendant, go with them, wherever that may be, then so be it. But that's how passionate I feel about the services we provide for our folks.
I like your attitude. Okay, everybody still with us? Okay. Here's an interesting question for somebody. The timing of current transit schedules is problematic. We would love to go out of an evening by public transit, but the last bus comes up here at 8:30. Can we have jitneys? Can we have cab discounts? Well, I guess.
The answer is you're right, they are terrible. We are now looking, if everyone can hear me, we are now looking at, assuming that the system is stable at this point, looking at alternatives, but in the near term, the answer would be no, there are not jitneys or anything that would be available via AC Transit. And just to the point, these are two city-based programs. We are mandated by ADA. Somebody asked me the other day, and I said, you would ask somebody who's 60 or older, and you say, what is the ADA? And they'd say, American Dental Association. That's what I would say. And so the ADA really is a civil rights legislation for those with a disability. And I can assure you, age is not a disability. I had a 92-year-old woman say, what do you mean I'm not eligible? Can you ride the fixed route? Yes, well then you're not eligible for paratransit, but I'm 92. I'm happy for you that you're 92, but no, you're not eligible. You can still use fixed route. So we do not prioritize on trip basis on East Bay Paratransit. So if you're going to the salon or the saloon, it doesn't matter to us because by law we cannot determine how you're going to take your trip. So yes, continue to push on the fixed route side. I think that they're now looking at modifying, whether it be working with the city-based shuttles that have cropped up as a result of our loss of service. So your input is needed and continuous input into the AC Transit process to look at areas where if we have any funding, we can restore services.
And for the city of Richmond, if you live in the city of Richmond, and I guess also for the city of Berkeley, you're able to use the taxi script program. So you just pay the cost of what the trip is. If it's a $10 trip, you pay with that like funny money basically. And then you've paid for your trip, because when you bought the book was valued at $30, but you only pay $15. So it is money. So I always tell my seniors, girl, hold on to that, because if you lose it, somebody else may try to use that. And that service again is provided 24 hours, 7 days a week. It's all local based trips. So, you know, if you wanted to have a night in the town in San Francisco, sorry, I can't do that. But if you want to have a night in the town in Richmond, I can do that. And so Oakland has it as well. So there are a few of us, but interesting enough, not all your cities have it. So, you know, it's kind of hit and miss, and it's who's being vigorous about going after those funds. So that's what I would say on that question.
And I just want to be just clear real quickly on the taxi script program in Berkeley has some constraints on who's eligible. And that's one of the things when I said earlier we're not meeting all the needs with our program is we have in Berkeley you have to be 70 years old or have a disability, sort of paratransit related sort of disability. You have to live in Berkeley, and you have to presently to get into the program, your income has to be at 30% of the area median income, which for a single person is about $1,600 a month. And our script program, in contrast to Richmond and Oakland's also, is you don't buy the script. We issue you the script. It's yours. It's the books. Our books are $40 value. You get three of those three times a year if you're in our program, and you have those, and then you're just expected to use what other resources you have beyond that to meet the rest of your needs.
Is Social Security we have a question for Crystal. And it's preceded by the remark that a lot of boomers who are becoming seniors are used to using technology, smartphones, apps, all of that. In terms of your INR and hotline, how will these services evolve, or are you thinking about having them evolve in the technological future?
Wow, that's a really good question. And I can't really predict the future of technological use in paratransit, but I do know that a lot of seniors now have email accounts, which isn't something that, was the case maybe 10 or even 5 years ago. Something that the Alameda CTC has is PAPCO, which is the Paratransit Advisory and Planning Committee. And a lot of our seniors in that advisory committee have email now. So, I think that's the only thing I can really talk about in terms of technology is that more seniors are jumping onto email. We do have a website that has all of our information, and when I get calls to our hotline about, can you send me an application, I will also ask them, do you have access to the internet? Do you have access to a computer? And a lot of them do now have access to all of that, and so they're able to download the application as opposed to having me send it to them via mail. So I think in terms of technology, that's the only thing I can really think of. Smartphone applications would be great, but I don't know if anyone's really working on anything like that just yet.
They may have to later.
Yeah, they may have to.
Thank you.
We have a kind of track to that.
Yeah.
We have a scheduling software that we got a few years ago, and there is a module. It's sort of and we haven't bought it yet, but we're looking into that. It's called a tickler. So what happens the day before, we'll send out an automated call saying to remind you, tomorrow you have a trip booked, just a reminder. If you need to cancel it, call back this number, because that helps provide another spot for somebody. I forgot to mention about our service is that we also provide same-day reservation. So you can actually book a trip the same day as opposed to other programs that may not have that. We do have it. So that opens up a spot for somebody else who just canceled. We can fill that spot for somebody who's calling for same day. And they also have with that sort of also they have like a 15 or 10 minute tickler where it sends a call to their phone, letting them know the driver will be there in 10 to 15 minutes. And more of our seniors, we talk about technology and web, and so more seniors have cell phones. And so these ticklers, if you have a cell phone, can send them either a text or a message saying in 10 to 15 minutes, your bus will be there. So there are emerging technologies that are trying to help make things more cost efficient, but also more streamlined to help folks who are seniors.
Thank you. Oh, sure.
For those of you who have internet access on your phones, which was mentioned, you can also use nextbus.com. I use that almost every single day. It's very easy, nextbus.com, and you just click on AC Transit and it'll tell you when your bus is coming at a pretty accurate time.
if the bus and the stops are activated, and there's not a lot, so don't get excited.
Just take the right routes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna leave, I have one that is not a question. It's just a point that someone wants to make. And then perhaps we'll wind it up and let everybody have a last word if they want a last word. This is, seniors on the go don't only go to amusements and to the doctor. A bus of seniors comes to MLK Junior Middle School in Berkeley to tutor every week. The social benefit of senior volunteers is extremely high. I agree, absolutely. Okay, does anybody want a last word for just a couple of minutes, or have you all exhausted the time?
I'll jump on that.
Yeah.
I'll jump on that because it is amazing just how vitalizing being part of a community where people are giving and receiving is. And oftentimes, our members would prefer to volunteer than to ask. And as we cultivate this sense of people giving and people receiving, it opens the door a little bit for people who need help but are too independent or wanting to maintain a sense of their own ability to do everything. It kind of opens the door a little bit, and it's okay to give and to receive. So I appreciated that note about volunteerism. And just to name, I was talking about the resource. We have volunteers that we provide, to deal with the really important things that allow you to stay in your home. And we're cultivating a community where people are driving one another just to things because they're going together. They're wanting to share their resources. So.
I just want to thank Mim for hosting this forum. Appreciate it, and thank you all for coming. And again, I just want to encourage you, as the Accessible Services Manager, we are trying to make our fixed route as accessible as possible to encourage folks to use the fixed route for as long as possible, and at the same time try and build a paratransit system so that when you truly need it, it will be available. So do participate in our processes, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today, ma'am.
Okay, the last one.
I just want to, my job is bigger than our paratransit programs in our department, and I'm like constantly watching what's going on at the federal level with things that are going to have big impacts for our community. And I saw more yesterday from the Senate THUD, Transportation, Housing, and Urban Development Appropriation Subcommittee. And so what I want to say is I don't want to let the federal folks off the hook, and I think we need to keep the pressure up for the resources we need. But the local resources that we provide to these efforts to do this are vital right now. And whether it's Measure B, whether it's the Measure E item that I referred to earlier, that's a Berkeley item that will be up for reauthorization in the next couple of years. These things are all critical parts of it, as is your participation in our processes for looking at what's going on and figuring out how to move forward. So thank you very much for having me here and for being here.
Thank you. Well, I want to thank you all, and I want to thank you all for coming. As you can see, this panel, these are the people who really know what's going on in the field, and we're so privileged to have had them. And thank you so much for your wonderful people.